Alright, so in my spare time, I often do like to do a little bit of a thing that kind of wastes a lot of my time, if I'm being honest, and that's actually go on the For You page on TikTok and just see what I can find, whether that's a funny video, you know, a video talking about a movie or a TV show, a video of Katie Sigmund or some other TikTok girl shaking her ass, whatever decides to pop on my For You page, I'm there for it. I know it's a time waster, but the other day something actually came up which I thought was pretty interesting, and it was actually a video of David Dobrik kind of talking about the upcoming pizza restaurant that he's going to be opening very soon. Again, more on that a little bit later, but it kind of got me scratching my head, and I was thinking, well, what actually happened to that guy? How did David Dobrik go from being the king of YouTube, the biggest YouTuber pretty much of 2019, the guy who was averaging like 15 million views every single video he released, mainly because Natalie was fucking perfection in those videos. I mean, goddamn, who didn't have a crush on her back then? We move on, and just being the funny ass videos that they were, everyone was watching them and they were just the best thing around. But how did David Dobrik go from that to being a guy that no one really talks about or remembers, for that matter, in 2022? I haven't heard of someone really talk about David Dobrik in a long time. So that kind of inspired me to make this video to kind of talk about, well, what actually happened to David Dobrik? How did he go from being the biggest YouTuber on the planet in like 2019 to only 3 years later being barely remembered and a guy that no one really talks about? So as most of you probably saw, David Dobrik was in his prime throughout 2019. So many people watching David Dobrik's vlogs, as I mentioned earlier, was averaging like 10 to 20 million views per video. But towards the start of 2020, David Dobrik's upload schedule started to get a little bit worse, and it was to kind of come to an end when the COVID pandemic would start, with David Dobrik actually saying that he wouldn't upload videos until this thing is over. In that time, he uploaded one video where he went around giving away PS4s and PS5s and dildos and whatever else he gave away. I can't even remember. I think it was toys to kids, which, I mean, goated, like top G right there. But then again, he didn't really upload any other videos other than that for about a year to a year and a half, where I believe towards kind of the tail end of 2021, David Dobrik actually started to upload some vlogs again, after again having about a year and a half hiatus. Again, these vlogs would come out very slowly, and they seemed very different. They didn't seem like they had the same vibe. There wasn't as much of a comedic purpose and tone as they were in 2019. And again, reoccurring cast members of his vlogs like Jeff Whittick, Dominic, you know, or Dirty Dom, as most of you guys probably know him as, and a couple others here and there, were just nowhere to be seen. As David had a lot of issues with a couple of these guys. You know, first of all, Dom, again, there was all of those, you know, issues kind of on the side that nearly even got David cancelled. Again, I believe there was some underage drinking going at a party, and Dom got some girl drunk, and again, it was being said that David actually provided these underage girls the alcohol, so they would again do some things that they will probably regret later on his vlog. So again, I think some of you guys remember that as well. David almost nearly got into quite a bit of issues, and a lot of people were calling for him to be cancelled, and it really kind of sucked, because even though it wasn't the best thing that David did, he's done 999 other better things that would kind of outshine that moment. But it just, again, cancel culture was really, really at its height at the end of 2021, and everyone was calling for this guy's head to just kind of be on a post. So, again, that was the issue with Dom. Then, again, he would have some issues with Jeff Whittick, where he would actually nearly kill the guy. Basically, kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like he ended up getting this crane for his comeback video, and Jeff ended up kind of getting hung from it, is kind of the best way I can describe it. Like a swing almost, but like his foot. And then David was controlling it too fast, and it went to the point where Jeff would end up smashing his face into the crane, pretty much nearly losing his eye. He's gone through multiple different surgeries, and David is basically, getting sued from Jeff at this point in time, and David could still be facing a lot of money that he will potentially be losing. So again, kind of all those cast members that were all really funny just weren't in the vlogs anymore, basically because of some of their issues, and then some of the issues that David would end up causing on, later down the road. Again, it wasn't just the comedy aspect going out by these cast members that were just genuinely funny, but also the comedy aspect of David seemed to kind of change his vlogs. They were no longer 420 of just him, showing all the funniest moments of his week with his friends. They ended up kind of being a little bit different, a little bit more cinematic, I guess you could say. Him going on a bunch of different holidays with his friends, and it kind of ended up feeling like the whole purpose of the vlogs were just to advertise his show that he was doing with National Geographic, I believe. And again, people didn't really like that. People didn't like these new type of vlogs that weren't really 100% comedy. They were, again, more for the ultimate purpose of actually advertising his TV show that he was, of course, doing with a couple of his friends. And even though the videos were still pretty good, they just weren't what they used to be. They have some jokes in there that were kind of funny, but again, you didn't have that same comedic effect that he did in the old 2019 vlogs. So again, the vlogs, he not only stopped vlogging for over a year and a half pretty much, which again lost him a couple of audience members, but also when he did return back to vlogging, the original cast members that were there were no longer coming back due to issues. And then of course the vlogs were longer and not as much funny, I should say. And again, they just seem to have the ultimate purpose of advertising his TV show more than trying to make you laugh. A couple of people have not only pointed out the fact that he just kind of stopped vlogging for a year and a half and came back with some pretty mediocre videos that not everyone was entertained with, but also the fact that all content just stopped in general. For example, his podcast Views, which he used to upload a new episode to every week, just kind of completely stopped about 5 or so months ago as well. What's even more weird about this is that David actually confirmed that he even recorded some episodes that were ready to release, and they just never released them. For example, FaZe Banks actually spoke about on an Instagram story, I believe, saying that he'd recently just been catching up with David Dobrik on the Views podcast and teaching him about crypto and all of that type of, what do you call that shit? Like online money, digital currency. I don't know, bro. As you can tell, the only money I know is the freaking caps in Fallout, bro. That's the only shit I know. And how to get money in GTA, to be fair. Fucking just shoot a hooker and... Yep. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is David Dobrik had episodes of Views ready to go and completely just said, no, I don't want to upload them, and I'm kind of just getting rid of the podcast. And that's exactly what he fucking said, because yeah, he had a video with FaZe Banks right there ready to go, and I'm assuming another episode or two, and just bang, we never got to see it ever again. And that's more content that people just never got to see. It just kind of seems like usually when it comes to a bunch of other people and kind of creators, sometimes they will kind of disappear and go irrelevant because their videos start to suck, or they've done a whole lot of things wrong, this and that. But in David Dobrik's case, it just kind of seemed like the lack of content. He released no content really in 2020, after March really, no content in 2021 until the end. And then in 2022, he's been bare quiet as well, and his podcasts have just completely disappeared too. Not only has his podcasts kind of disappeared, as well as his vlogs, but also the TV shows. Even though David Dobrik kind of quit vlogging and all this stuff, he actually had a couple of TV shows going on the side. In fact, he had this show called Dodgeball Thunderdome, which just reminded me of the show Total Wipeout, so I actually really liked it when I watched it. And it seemed pretty successful, and what I saw, I think people liked it. But again, they just didn't do a second season, and a part of me thinks that he was presented with kind of an offer to do it, but just didn't take it on. And you might be like, well, why would he do that? Same reason he probably stopped doing the vlogs and the podcasts. He just probably doesn't want to do any of that stuff anymore. Then you got his other TV show, where I think it was called Discovery, David Dobrik or something like that. That did alright, but again, we haven't heard anything from that again. He's got no new TV shows in production or anything from what I know of. The only thing he has in production so far in 2022, it seems, is actually his new pizza company called Dobrik's.
What? What the fuck?
Yeah, Dobrik's, like pizza dough and then bricks. I don't know. I thought it was a stupid idea until I saw that he's actually putting the pizzas in a circular box instead of a square box, which made me nearly fucking orgasm all over the place, because that is the coolest idea I've ever seen. But then there's rumors that the boxes are going to cost way more, and his pizzas are going to be more expensive than Domino's and pizza. Oh, fucking, I don't know.
Then you have your 1 million subscriber plaque here. You're not posting a whole lot of videos on YouTube right now.
No, not too
What
many.
are some of the stuff you're working currently?
Okay, my favorite, it actually has to do with the reason I got the pizza painting. You're the first person I'm publicly showing this to, because we've been working on it for like 2 years, and I know I sound like every other YouTuber. It's like, we've been doing this for a while, now it's finally coming. But in a couple months, maybe a month, we're opening a pizza place called Dobrik's, spelled like pizza dough.
It's finally happening?
It's finally happening. I'm from Chicago, so like I'm obsessed with pizza. All my friends are from Chicago who now work with me, so they're obsessed with pizza. So this is our final logo, and this is our pizza box design.
Wow.
So we're really, really stoked on it, and
that looks sick.
I know, I'm really, really excited.
But even though that's kind of a cool idea, and an idea that might eventually pan off, it still doesn't kind of answer, well, what necessarily happened to David Dobrik. And in summary, there were multiple things. Just not posting vlogs anymore for like a year and a half, kind of just abandoning the podcast as well, kind of abandoning the TV shows, and of course I think the fourth big one as well is all the controversy that he kind of had to face in his career for the first time. You had the Dirty Dom allegations that he and David were giving, you know, alcohol to underage women just, you know, so they could get on the vlogs and act a bit more crazy than what they usually do. Again, I think that's way more of a Dirty Dom thing than David, so never really understood why a lot of people were trying to cancel David for that. But then, of course, the Jeff Wittick one was definitely really bad. I don't know what David was trying to do with that crane, why he was trying to move it faster than Sonic the Hedgehog, but you should have known as a human being, and not a fucking dickhead, that something was probably always going to happen. On top of all of that, David kind of disappeared from the media, and now it kind of only posts TikToks, and a lot of people just don't really, you know, talk about David Dobrik anymore. And a part of me actually thinks this is by design. Clearly, David stopped vlogging and doing the podcast and all this stuff for a reason. He doesn't need the money anymore, and he's probably just not enjoying it. The TV shows as well also, you know, kind of halted and did a stop. Clearly, probably doesn't need the money anymore, probably wasn't enjoying it, I'm assuming. And then, of course, with all the controversies on the side, I think he kind of just said to himself, is it really worth it anymore? I'm doing all this stuff to try and make people happy, but I keep having controversies come up. I can go and do a passion project like start a pizza shop without the controversies probably surrounding my name, and I can do something that I actually enjoy and a bit of a passion project. I think that's what David is kind of saying to himself, and I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And that's really what happened to David Dobrik. He pretty much quit YouTube, he quit the TV shows really, and of course he had some controversy that he didn't really want to handle anymore. He couldn't be fucked, so he kind of just said to himself, well shit, if I'm happy in making this pizza restaurant and doing my other businesses on the side, then, well, I guess it is what it is, you know what I mean? So that's really what happened to David Dobrik. That's why you probably don't hear from him anymore, and why you don't really ever think about him anymore. I think it was pretty much by design. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Definitely don't forget to comment your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you guys think about this? Do you guys miss David Dobrik's vlogs, like the original ones when, or should I say more of the 2019 ones? Those were definitely my favorite, when he had Dirty Dom, Jeff Wittick, and all these other dudes doing their thing. Or are you guys kind of happier with this guy just not really doing anything and doing his passion projects on the side? Definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. But as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Through the wastelands, through the highways.